right, looks like we are now streaming live. Okay, hi everybody. I am 𝗤𝗲𝗍, and we are here to talk about Pitranomics, which is my strategy to grow, protect, and transfer wealth. One day I'll have a whole talk about how I came up with it, but my husband and I share these ideals. Whether or not he wants to come in and talk about it, he might, but I like to share it. And tonight's series is who is in my lifeboat? And are they helping me to paddle or are they causing me to sink? Now, before we go further, can someone do a quick Facebook test to make sure I'm not muted or anything? Because that was funny last time.
One moment, please. I will be happy to check that for you.
Okay. And
oh yeah, you're good to go.
I'm good to go. Okay, so I'm excited about this part. The one thing I want to communicate is I do like input, especially about something like this, because it's really important when we talk about what I call the Lifeboat series. I'm talking about alignment. And that is a very important concept to me. It's different than trust. I can trust you or not trust you, but still be in alignment with you if I understand what I'm trying to do and I can figure out and understand to some degree of competency what it is you want to do. So let's go back. The 10-part strategy starts with the assessment, where you define your end of life goals. And those are those goals that are so important that if you don't accomplish them, your life doesn't have purpose. And then you do a map of your resources and see what you have available to accomplish those goals. And I focus on money, energy, and time. And then after that, it's what I like to call, how do you eat an elephant? That's one bite at a time. You have to develop your roadmap. You have to know your milestones to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. So now, if you don't know what it is you want to accomplish in life, and if you don't have an idea of what your resources are, and you haven't taken the time to create the roadmap by how you're going to create your success, then it is very difficult to ascertain whether or not you're in alignment with someone. And to keep with the lifeboat metaphor, if you have someone in your lifeboat and the whole purpose is to paddle somewhere and you've got an expert hole puncher, it does not matter how good that hole puncher is as far as success. It doesn't matter if you trust or do not trust that hole puncher. It doesn't matter how competent they are. They could be the best hole puncher in the world, but if what they are doing is out of alignment to what you need, that relationship will not work. So it's not trust. It's very similar to loyalty. I call alignment mutual loyalties for a benefit. So it's very important when you are trying to determine if you're in alignment with someone that you are getting a value and they're getting a value, or at least they perceive that they're getting a value. Because if those things don't come together, then the relationship is going to be unsuccessful, at least from your point. I did already say I want lots of feedback. I think we have a hand raising option here, and we also have the ability to put things in chat. Please, let's just get a lot of stuff on here because this is one of my most important mindset rules for me, is alignment. So I believe in friendship. I believe in love. I believe in all of the soft, I'll call them soft emotions. But I never forget, am I aligned with someone in what I'm trying to accomplish or not? And that is something I always want you to be aware of. So let's start with talking about parenting. Two parents, or three or four, I don't know. I'm not making any judgment on what a family looks like. I just live in a two-parent household. But they have to be in alignment with what they want to accomplish for their children, for their union, for their finances. And that is not an easy thing to do because a lot of people marry someone that they might like a lot, that they might love a lot, that might be a lot of lust or whatever going on. I don't know. Whatever it is, people that drives people to get married, At some point, you have to come to alignment. You have to know what it is you want to accomplish in your life, the goals that you as a unit want to accomplish, what you want that to be like for your children, for your future, and work together toward that. So, do I believe that you have to be in love in order to have a successful marriage? I don't know. You have to be in like, you have to be in respect, and you have to be in alignment. And if you're not, then you have a problem. And one of the biggest killers of getting into alignment is a lack of communication. A lack of communication with yourself and understanding what's going on inside, and the lack of ability to communicate with that other person so you can determine if you're going down that path together. And I could come up with all kinds of examples of people that aren't in alignment with each other from my personal life, but I'm going to use something. What am I going to use? I'm going to use something as simple as if you have one person that believes in saving, never spending, and one person that believes a dollar in the hand or in the bank is a dollar not well used. All dollars must be out there being consumed. Well, those people aren't going to be able to come together on any kind of financial plan or on any kind of life plan. And both parties will be under stress from not being in alignment. And chances are that relationship will not work. Now, they might have started being in love, and they might actually really care about each other, but you can't have a successful long-term relationship without alignment. It just will not happen. So my suggestion is, when choosing to get married, we'll start with married, partner, whatever, have that conversation about what your goals are, what you want to accomplish, how you want to accomplish, what do you bring to the table, what is the mutual value exchange that's happening? Because there should be a mutual value exchange. I'm not saying that you should be giving, like, I'm giving $5 and you're $5, now we have 10. I'm talking about, in the case of my husband, he is very analytical, he is extremely cautious, he is not prone to spontaneous action at all. He likes to think things through. Now, if you had paired him with another one of him, nobody would really get anything accomplished, because you don't together become more than you are separately. I believe with all of my heart that there is no one I should be married to other than my husband. Now, it doesn't mean we always get along perfectly. It may not look to other people like the love of the century, but I respect him. I trust his integrity. I trust his judgment. And we are usually spot on in alignment. Yes, we have our own internal tiffs or whatever. That's going to happen. But about the stuff that matters, straight as an arrow, we are united front. And that kind of gets me into children, but I'm going to share an example. And I think I'm so glad I'm going to talk about my children right now, and they're both on, so I love it. Both of my children have gone through Frisco ISD in Texas. I don't know if everybody on here is from Texas, looks like they are, but I see. And one of the things that we found out is that self-defense is not a value supported in the public school system here. Can't speak for anywhere else. However, it definitely is a value that we support in the home, both of us. So both children, one in elementary school and one in middle school, had the event happen where they needed to defend themselves, and they had to suffer a school punishment for it. So my husband and I talked about it. Both times we went up there like, I don't care what you're trying to say to our kids as far as what they did was right or wrong or whatever. We didn't care about that. We cared about both of our kids need to understand what our values are, that hopefully they're acting in accordance with those values, and we support what they have, we support what they have done. We believe in self-defense. And in particular, my husband is a firm believer that if someone comes at you, you don't just like tap him, oh, please stop. Like, no, you bring it. to make them stop. I support it too. That may not sound like a big deal, but when you are preparing to send your children out into the world, what is up with this bug? And you haven't prepared them to defend themselves and stand up for themselves. We believed, the both of us, my husband and me, that you were preparing them for, they're gonna be an easy mark. I don't know if that's what you want to prepare your kids for, but that's not what we wanted to prepare our children for. So that's not what we work toward. I don't know how people successfully raise kids without a lot of stress if they aren't in alignment. It's not that I don't see it happen. I see lots of co-parents that don't work together, but it sometimes makes me sad because the best thing you could do is together decide what it is you want to accomplish with those kids, and then combine your resources, money, time, energy are the ones I focus on, but there are others when you're dealing with kids, their establishment of values or whatever, and do what it is you intended to do. That's what I believe in. I believe in alignment. I also know that there are a lot of people that are born into families in which they don't feel aligned with their family members, or they've had friends for years since kindergarten, and instead of analyzing at some point whether or not they're still in alignment, their view is, well, they've been around that long. Well, that's longevity. Or they do anything for me. I'm not sure what that is. Or I know they'll never betray me. Well, that's loyalty. Or they're really good at what they do, and that's competence. And none of that matters if you're not in alignment. Not loyalty, unless it's mutually loyal for value, not competence, not judgment, not any of that stuff. Because then you're not accomplishing what's meant for your best life, and they're not accomplishing what's meant for their best life. Did I say that right? Your best life and their best life. So one of my favorite topics, I'll talk on and on. I do want to get some people to jump in, but there is something I would like to share before I go on to the next stuff. I have another friend named David Brown, who's from Colorado. He's on, and he said something the other night that I thought was really cool. So I got into cryptocurrency last year, and then didn't talk about it much until about December of last year, and I mentioned it to my friend David. And David got into it. And what did you say, David? You were willing to go into it because you trusted me and you believed in my I guess, ability to ascertain if that was a good pursuit. But I think it's also true that he knew what it was I was trying to accomplish by investing in crypto, and he wanted to do that too.
Yes, very much so.
So I feel like that is the basis of a beautiful relationship. And while I have loved David for decades, we are tight. We have talked more and more and strategized more and more since we've been in crypto, because now we are, boom, in alignment through this period. So I do want to take the time to be quiet for a little bit, just a little bit, in case somebody wants to say something. And David, don't get on me about interrupting, but I know you want to say something, so start us off.
What you said about alignment, and it just hits home to me. You know, my ex-wife and I were never aligned. Therefore, it ended badly, but without being on the same page, trying to get to the same objective, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work it doesn't work short term or long term. You might lie to yourself and say, well, I'm going to make it work, but the reality of it is that it will not work. And in terms of relationships, if you don't have those conversations before you get married, you sure will find out very quickly that you didn't have them, and the person you think you're in love with is not the right person for you. I mean, you know, infatuation, and, you know, once the honeymoon's over, it's over. And then reality sets in, and reality will bite you in the rear end.
It will take a big old chomp, won't it?
Yes, it
Painful
will.
chomp. Yes. Yes. So in keeping with that, so there's people that you are in business with. Let me just talk again about that. So I was in a business partnership that did not end well. And what bothered me so much about it was not that I felt like we weren't trying to accomplish the same things. I thought we were trying to renovate houses for profit. I'm pretty sure that's what they wanted to do. I know that's what I wanted to do. Now, understanding alignment is understanding how competent and how prepared and how ready they are to be in alignment. And that is what ministers will often call being unevenly yoked. So my business partners did not have my financial resources. I feel like they purported to have other strengths that I thought at the time I didn't have, but I realized they weren't strengths I needed. And maybe on their side, what I had wasn't a strength they needed. I don't know. All I know is I was the one that came out of that relationship feeling extremely screwed, caused me to do a lot of introspection and thinking and analyzing. But the truth of the matter, we were not aligned. Very clear now. Why is it that sometimes you can't recognize whether or not you're in alignment with someone in the middle of it? When you're emotionally invested, when you're down in the trenches, that's the time you need to have other people that can give you an objective and third-party opinion as to whether or not you're in alignment with these people you're in the boroughs with. So that could be your coaches, your mentors, sometimes friends, professionals. I'm a big proponent of professional help, but none of those people can help you determine with their objectivity if you're in alignment, if they have no idea where you're going. So then the communication has to come back in. Not only do you have to communicate well with whoever that is you're in a relationship with, but if you want that external help, you have to communicate with those people out there so that when they're looking in, they can say, okay, this is where you want to go, and this is the person you're tracking there with. It kind of looks like y'all are doing this. Or even worse, it looks like they're doing this. So it's really important, I'm gonna go back to it, to be able to identify what those goals are, to understand what your resources are, what you bring to the table, and to have the ability to determine or to acknowledge what your path is, determine the milestones, and then communicate that in some way to make the relationship work. Now, when you talk about communication, I will talk all the time to people I like. You get me in a room with people I don't know, or even worse, people I don't like, I might seem a little standoffish. I am basically an introvert. Now, you can look up some definitions and they say an introvert is reticent and shy. I am not reticent or shy. What I am is internally focused a lot. I need my own time. I need to come into myself to re-energize, to rejuvenate, to analyze. All of that is best done in my own head, in my own heart, in my own space. Some people are not like that. They need to re-energize with other people, and that's fine. You just need to understand what it is you need to do in order to re-energize, and then you need to do it, and you need to figure out how to communicate with the other people in your life. So I've hit on a couple of things: knowing what your goals are, knowing how to communicate them so you can be in alignment. Now let me go back to family, because that is where I see in people a lot of problems. They confuse loyalty. I got to always be there for my friends, for my mom, for my dad, with alignment, which is going together for a common purpose in a mutually beneficial way. I don't have much family. This is not something I can say I'm empathetic about because I'm an only child. I'm the only child of an only child. I am very used to just pursuing whatever it is I want. It was a struggle for me to get married and put myself in alignment with someone else. That was a struggle. And it's still a struggle, but it's a struggle worth doing. But I do see a lot of disasters befall because people try to make an alignment relationship out of a familiar relationship rather than a loving and trusting and caring for that person. I know there's a word, but sorry, I couldn't come up with it. Relationship, even though they know that close proximity with that person may disrupt their process, they let that close proximity destroy their process. And I'm sure everybody knows something like that. And so, but I'm gonna give an example. Let's say I, as a real estate investor, have a beloved sister. Let's just assume I have a sister. And she falls on hard times. And she's like, yo, sis, you have so many houses. Can you help me out? Can you let me stay in one of your houses for 3 months? You know, I promise I'll get out, blah, 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 and I'll take good care of the house. And I just need help getting on my feet, right? I know of somebody that did such a thing. And she said she couldn't get that person out of the house. They didn't pay rent. They didn't take care of the house. They didn't do anything. She had to legally evict family member. That created a lot of trouble. My question was, why didn't you just put them in another rental and promise to pay 3 months rent and that's it? Now, her answer kind of surprised me. Let me see what it was. I think it was something like, well, I wanted to do what I could, or I don't know, something that did not resonate with me, so I can't really even remember it. But all I remember thinking is, you get somebody in there, whoever it is, that can freeload off you for a month, 2 months, a year, and then they feel they have a power over your asserting your rights because you're family, that you won't do to them what you would do to somebody else. If they believe that, you have set yourself up to be screwed. For me, I don't see a way not to be screwed in that particular scenario. Now, I'd love to hear from somebody that has a different point of view. Anybody want to weigh in on the family thing? Nobody wants to.
Family can be really tough because you really, really want to help them. You know what I mean? But you don't always necessarily know if they want to help themselves. So it's really tricky and it's tough to navigate that scenario. So yeah, I don't even have an answer for that. It's a tough situation to be in.
Have you ever been in a position where you felt a family member took advantage of you?
I'm sure if I sat here and thought about it long enough, I could say yes, but I also tend to use my introvertedness as an excuse to not communicate with a lot of my family members, unfortunately. So I tend to block things out.
Okay, I get it. Do you guys remember the story of the tsunami? When was it? Was that 10 years ago, 12 years ago? I can't remember. That hit Southeast Asia. And there was a case. There's this woman that had her 2 kids with her. One was, I think, an infant, and the one was like 3, 4, 5, I don't know. And she had to get her and one of those kids to safety because she couldn't get both. She had to pick one. What a decision. I can't imagine. Now, can I drop one of my cousins or uncles that I don't know and wouldn't know if I met him on the street? Yeah, probably no problem. But one of my kids, agonizing decision. What she ended up doing was keeping the infant with her, and she let her older child go. Now, thankfully, that child survived the tsunami. He got caught up with a teacher or another teenager or something. They were reunited I remember seeing this kid. I wish I could find that clip on the news. And he was like, yeah, mom let me go. I was like, oh. But that he believed it was the right decision. Because now she has both of her kids. That infant could not have survived letting him go in the ocean. He wouldn't know anything. Plus, she wouldn't have been able to find him. The older one could swim and could talk. Now, I don't know, I might have been paralyzed in that decision. I might have kept trying to keep both of my kids with me. And if they had been there with me, they probably would have seen me drown because I can't swim. But I would have told them, you guys better make it and stay together. I just feel like that's an impossible decision. A difficult decision, because one has to be made. You're either going to not make the decision to choose between them and you all perish, or you're going to make the decision to choose one will perish, or you take a gamble and you all survive. You don't know. But if you're helping family, in particular family, or really, really good friends from back in the day, and they are doing something that you would easily recognize if somebody else did it, they were dragging you down, you better be doggone sure you can carry their weight and your weight, or else you jettison them. In my opinion, there might be some rebuttal, but if you let them take you down as well, and I will share another example. I guess it was about 5 years ago, I was renting a house and I met this lovely woman, and she would have loved to have had her rent the house, but her credit was horrible. And I was like, what's going on with your credit? And she had co-signed on a student loan with her son, and quite hefty loan. And then she got a divorce and didn't have access to the money, but she's the one that had co-signed, and she couldn't pay and he refused to, the son. So now her credit is devastated. I guess he doesn't care. His credit was devastated too, but it didn't matter as much to him. And she had trouble even renting an apartment. This was a 40-something-year-old woman that had trouble finding a place to live. And I was like, wow, that sucks, but I couldn't rent to her. How many times has there been a family member that's come with the same story and you carry them? Not you, but one carries them. I don't know. To me, it's difficult. But I think if you go back to knowing what it is you're trying to accomplish in life, understanding how limited your resources are, and you have defined your path, it makes it easy to keep to or easier to keep to your priorities. And you won't make that kind of decision. So, any comments, questions before I go on to mentors? No? Okay, so I'm going on to mentors now, because this is also a very passionate area of mine. I have been asked several times by people for help in real estate, and by people who have no idea what exactly it is they want to accomplish with real estate, have no idea what resources they have available to accomplish whatever it is they don't know or know in real estate, and have made no clear roadmap as to what kind of real estate they should engage in order to make their goals happen. I can't help you. First of all, it's a waste of my time, because I'm going to feel frustrated that I can't help you get where you want. And I don't need to feel frustrated. I got enough going on in my own life. So part of my strategy talks about just that. But a lot of people want to skip the goal setting, skip the resource assessment. What do you need a roadmap for? I'm just going to jump in and make it work. Okay, that's like jumping in the middle of that tsunami with no lifeboat, with no floaty, not knowing how to swim. How are you going to make that work? You might luck up and be one that's buffeted along the top of the waves to shore and set gently on the mountain, Maybe. But chances are you're going to be one of those whose smashed body ends up on the rocks. You have to be prepared. And the way you prepare is to know what it is you want to accomplish, know what you have in order to accomplish, know what it is you need to do to accomplish what it is you want to accomplish. To me, it just makes so much sense, but a lot of people miss that. I have been asked, for example, can you become a real estate investor without money? Well, one of my other parts of my strategy says what investing is having some dollars that you send out into the world and they come back with friends. So if you don't have any dollars, I don't consider it investing. I consider it a hustle, which is fine. You hustle until you accumulate, and then you take that accumulation and you send it out to do some work and it brings back friends. So it's on the path. The answer to the question, can I start investing without money? No, but you can use real estate to accumulate money that you can then invest, is the simple answer. But you'd better have a plan, because here's one pitfall with that happens. Let's say you're lucky enough to, as you're working your full-time W-2 job, so I'm gonna wholesale this deal and you get like, I don't know, $70,000 in this one deal. Let's just say it's an amazing windfall. You better know how to handle that money, because I can guarantee you, for most people, that $70,000 is gonna put them in another tax bracket. You have to make sure you've set the foundation so that you can have a difference between the $75,000 revenue that you generated, take off all of your expenses to get down to a reasonable profit. That's what you base your tax burden on, and your Social Security tax and your Medicare tax and anything else you have to pay. So you have to be thoughtful about how you're going to make the money. And let's say, and this is what happens all the time, you make $70,000, you spend $70,000 on something that is not technically an expense to your business. Now you've got a tax burden on that additional $70,000 and you have no cash because you have spent it. That's a problem. That's going in without a plan. Most investors I know go in like that. They don't give the tax consideration due credence. I don't understand. If they had talked to a mentor, they would know this. So here's what I'm going to say about mentors. If someone were to come to me and say, you know what, I want to be a lead in a multifamily syndication. I want to attract investors. I want to have them invest and I'm going to make money that way. And I was like, I'm not your girl. I don't do syndication. I have been the passive in syndicated deals where I've given the money. See, this is investing. I give these people money and it's supposed to come back with friends. I don't want to be involved in all that. I've got all this other stuff to do. That's investing. Being the lead to deal with investors, I want no parts of that. The amount of interaction that lead investors have to do with the partners and the placating and all of that would wear my ass out, so I cannot do it. I do not have the resources. I do not have the energy to do that well. So it's not for me. That's still real estate investing, but I can't help you with it. But there are people who are like totally on it, competent passive investors. They go into a deal, they're very quick at like, yeah, I want to invest. They put their money there and they go on to the next one and they're just serial investors. I know a guy, they call him the passive investing king. He's in like, I think at any one time, like 100 syndicated deals. That's at one time. He's in the past 6 or I don't know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deals he's been in. He's made lots of money because that's what he's good at. I'm not good at that. That's ceding control to somebody else of my money. I wasn't that good at it before I had these bad partnerships. I'm especially bad at it now. You're gonna control my money and how it works? Okay, so it doesn't work for me. Now, if someone says, I want to know how to find a house that I renovate and make it a rental property, make sure I've analyzed all possible avenues of exit from this property to make sure I have whatever it is my expectations are pretty closely realized in my parameters of, say, what, cash on cash return, cash in, or whatever, well, I can do that. That I can do. I'm very good at that. I'm not good at the other one. Got to get somebody else, but I'm good at that. So as a mentor, one of the things you want to make sure is that your goals that you're trying to accomplish are in alignment with your mentor's competencies. I can't tell you how many times I see people aligning with mentors and I'm like, they are not good at what you want them to do or what you're trying to do. But we won't belabor that point because, you know, we've all done that. Second thing that your mentor should be able to offer you, in addition to the experience, is the ability to communicate with you in such a way that you feel like you're getting value from his instruction. So what about being around a really successful person that's doing what you want to do, but every time you're around them, you're like, oh my gosh, this freaking biatch, right? That is not a productive use of the relationship. You have guys got to be compatible. And then the third thing I want you to remember when you have a mentor is, what are you bringing to the mentor? Most mentees go out like, what am I getting? What am I getting? What are you giving me? How am I going to be benefiting from this relationship? I'm like, do something for the mentor. You don't have to do for the mentor what the mentor is doing for you, but you better put some time into figuring out how you can be of value, because then you'll be a much more valuable mentee to that person if you bring some value to the mentor. If all you're doing is taking, that's not productive. So, and I will say the same parallel exists for the professionals that you choose. Make sure they know how to do what it is you want them to do in accordance with your plans and along your roadmap within the constraints of your resources, and pay them what it's worth for you to get their expertise. And so with a professional accountant, insurance agent, tradesman, whatever, it's pretty clear. You pay them because a partner that is a good fit, that's in alignment with you, is probably going to be worth that extra money, because that person that's not in alignment with you is 9.99 times out of 10 going to cost you money, time, and just suck your energy dry. So I think I was going to on to cover parents, friends, business partners, marriage, mentors, family, and professionals when it comes to alignment. And I'm going to add one more thing that I think alignment is important, because I've heard some resistance in this area, and that's with multi-level marketing. I am in a multi-level marketing business called ACN. A number of people I've mentioned it to, they'll say, oh, it's a pyramid scheme. Oh, it never works. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Yeah, well, it certainly won't work for you if you don't try it. And it certainly won't work for you if you won't do what's necessary to make it happen. But I can't think of a better structured alignment process ever than being in a company that provides services you can get behind, and being in the upline, the downline of a group that knows how to make you great. That's it. I was in Tupperware for a while, which is a multi-level marketing company, and they had a structure called host parties, whatever, where you either host them at your house or go to somebody else's house where they have parties and convince the people to buy this Tupperware that you've dragged out and shown them, look how great Tupperware is, but it's been really the same for about 80 years, you know? So not my scene. I didn't do well at that. Now, when I decided I would sell the Tupperware on eBay, that was fun. I did it. That was great until Tupperware said, you can't sell on eBay. You have to do the party system. And I was like, well, that doesn't work for me. So I was out. And now Tupperware is sold everywhere on eBay. But anyway, another story. I believe that there are multiple streams of income that you should have in your life. So I do a multi-level marketing called ACN. I'm actually going to post my link in the Pitranomics group. I started investing in crypto. I do real estate investing. I coach. Those are multiple streams. Those are all things that I can do that optimize my money, energy, and time in a way that doesn't exhaust me, except for right now, I'm kind of in a period of exhaustion. And I'm with people that make me happy and energized to do these things with. If I had to be in something where I had to host a party, that wouldn't work. Or if I had to try and sell a product I didn't believe in, there are people who can do it. I am not so equipped. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that person that can sell dirt to a dirt farmer for a profit. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying I can't do it. Wish I could, but I can't. So I have to do what's in my lane. I'm very clear on what my goals are. I'm clear on what my resources are. I can't give other people all of my energy and time and have anything left to do for me. So I'll give a little bit. I have my roadmap. I'm a big modeling the process person. If I can't put it in the spreadsheet or put it on my whiteboard or figure something out, it is very difficult for me to feel comfortable with the process. David knows how much I run scenario analysis on my spreadsheets. What if I do this? What if I do that? What if I consider this? Then I feel comfortable in the goal, in the roadmap. And so kind of run out of steam on that one. But the point is, find yourself in alignment with people. Don't just look at them for how competent they are, how great they are at doing this, or how great they say that they are. Don't just look at, oh, they've been in my life 55 million years, and so I just got to use them. I'm a realtor. I've got people that have known me. I haven't had any family that's not used me. Maybe I have, I don't know them. But I have friends that don't use me. I don't care. I have a problem with people who waste my time and use me and then bail. But as far as if you just don't want to use me, I'm okay with that. I might not use you. And whatever it is you're doing, we can still be friends. I once had a friend, she was a friend. She was my insurance agent. And I decided she wasn't meeting my needs as an insurance agent. So I pulled my insurance and went somewhere else. This was, I would say 10 years ago or something like that. And she decided that was somehow, I don't know, a disloyal thing, that I didn't value her business. You know, all she said about that was like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, one of the lines that she said to me was, I acted like I knew more about her business than she did. I was like, well, I know more about my business than you do. I will take care of my business. I found another insurance company that took better care of what it was I was trying to do than what you were doing. There should have been no hard feelings. What she should have said, if my respect mattered at all, was, I'll get your business back next year. I'll make sure I'll give you what you need, and take the time to find out why I went away. I didn't come back, but she didn't do that. She stopped speaking to me, which in my mind, I'm just gonna say it, is a bitch ass move right there. Okay, because on the friendship side of the equation, I really believe in loyalty. You don't have to do business with me, but you don't just dump me. Then I'm like, you were never my friend and I don't care about you at all. I don't do well with that. So, but if it's business, if it's money, if it's goals or whatever, I personally am not that upset about it. But I am upset on the emotional side. So that's another thing. When I say, is someone in your lifeboat, are they helping you to paddle? That's toward your goals. If you have a good friend or somebody that you love that is in your lifeboat and is dead weight and causing you to sink, I challenge you to think about why you love them. They might be boulders, the 𝗪𝗵𝗏, overboard.
you have that distinct ability to do that better than most. And I've known you for a long time, and I don't know many people who can make that differentiation and stick to it, whereas you are able to do that. And I admire that quality in you. I just don't know that there are that many people out there that can do that and can make that distinction and stick to it. And I say that honestly because, like I said, we've known each other a long, long time, and we've talked through a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? And most people don't have that mental fortitude to make that call and stick to it. So I guess what I'm asking is, how would they learn that skill? One, you have to make the choice, but two, you have to actually be able to follow through with it. Your thoughts?
I love that question. And it all goes back to, if you have established your goals, and let me just revisit that a little bit. Those are what I call those end of life goals. Those are the goals that if you're standing at the crossover between this life and the next, or whatever comes after, if you haven't accomplished those goals in this life, you will feel like your life doesn't or hasn't had purpose. That's the kind of goal I'm talking about. It's pivotal to the purpose and the meaning of your life. If you haven't established them, it's hard to go to what that next step. You have to establish those goals, and then you have to do a very realistic assessment of what resources you have available. And I will say, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much energy you think you have, no matter how young you are and how much time you have, those are all finite. And since they're finite, they have to be optimized. And once you realize, okay, I've got to go to work, I've got to get rest, I have to eat, I have to feed my family, I have to do this and this and this. What's left over is what you have available to accomplish your goals. And then when you've mapped out those resources and you said, okay, I got to take these and do this, and this with them. Once you go through that process and you see somebody, yes, you love them, of course you do, but you see loving them and having them around means you are unsuccessful in the goals that give your life purpose. I believe with all my heart, you go through that process to make sure you know what your goals are, what your resources are, and what you're trying to accomplish with those limited resources, and you have someone around that's jeopardizing the success of your life goals. That is what enables you to say, gotta drop you. You might struggle with it for a while. You might need to talk to somebody about it. I mean, I'm not saying
Julie, can I add something?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I kind of see it from a different approach, because as someone who has been in the realm of, I've done some things, where I've had to come back and apologize to people and just not being perfect. I will say this: people can only do what you allow them to do. So when you say, when I have energy, I have negative people around me all the time. But the key thing is, they have zero impact on me until they personally attack me or something that I'm closely attached to. So while I used to cut people off, I no longer do that, because it takes too much energy for me to cut you off versus me just dealing with the fact that I now have you in a specific bucket. That's where you're going to stay. It takes energy to cut somebody off, block numbers, delete. I'm too old for that. So now it's like, if you choose to be in this bucket, that's the bucket that you're in, but you're not impacting my goals, my vision, what I got to do with me and my family, because I'm not going to allow you to. And I think the problem is when people allow other people to have that space, that's when it becomes a problem. You got to stop giving people the energy to even be able to infiltrate your space like that.
And I think that's an important distinction. And let me just go back to the lifeboat metaphor. You can be around somebody, you can have them be your roommate, you can have them be your coworker, and they're around you a lot, but they're not in your lifeboat. They're not in your inner circle. So I think that Shalana brought up an interesting point. She's like, cutting people off is a lot of work. Well, yeah, that's true. You don't have to cut them off. They're just not in your lifeboat. They're not a priority. You don't send unnecessary resources their way. They don't interfere with the plan you've created. You can get bogged down with the emotionality of somebody for a moment, but you better get back on track or you're not going to accomplish those goals. You don't have to block somebody in order to kick them out of your lifeboat. You don't have to get angry with them to kick them out of your lifeboat. Or you don't have to tell them off. I don't believe in telling people off. I honestly think, well, never mind. I don't think you need to worry about that. You just need to make sure they don't interfere with how you have allocated your goals on your roadmap to accomplish those resources you've decided to give your life true meaning and purpose. So it's not so much that you have to do the negative energy stuff. You just have to not let them pour their negative energy into you or let them siphon off your positive energy or your money or your time. And just, I don't know if everybody on here knows Shalana. Shalana has excellent words. She's really good at telling people, basically read between the lines in a very nice way. Going about your business in a really nice way. I'm letting you out of my lifeboat at the next stop in a nice way.
Julie, wait a minute, wait. It took me, oh my gosh, it took me years to develop that, because the way that I was brought up and just where I'm from, the people that my environment, we didn't sugarcoat it, but we also put it to the point where I don't have to be rude and disrespectful. It's how you say something. So if I'm not vibing with you on something, hey, look, we not vibing. I'm not gonna smile in your face. And I'll be honest, no offense towards anyone from Texas, but I didn't learn what nice nasty meant until I moved to Texas, because that was the people who smile in your face knowing that they really got a problem with you. And I didn't understand that. That wasn't part of how I was raised. So for me now, because in the past, yes, I would pretty much assassinate you with words and cause you to want to dig a hole, bury yourself in it, and not come back out, because that's just how I felt at that moment. As I got older, I realized, number one, it's rude. Number two, you don't have to. You don't have to put that much energy into telling someone how you feel so you can get enjoyment out of somebody feeling that. No, because karma makes a full circle. She will come back to you. So instead, I've taken my words and figured out, okay, if somebody was going to bring this to me, how do I want to present it? I don't care how you feel. I wanted to present it with roses and sunshine, because that's just my personality. So let me start giving it back to people. So that's what Julie means.
She has great words. I am trying to use better words because sometimes my temperament is, and I don't really mean anything personal when I say you are absolutely no use to me, I'm just gonna let you go. It's all about, is my utility being met? No? Okay, see you. It's like, for example, this happened with another woman that I know. We went to a restaurant. And when I go to a restaurant, I like good food and I like good service, because I can cook, so I can make my own good food at home. So that good service is really crucial. I want it with a smile. I want it how I want it. I want it when I want it. Don't give me any excuses for why you can't give me good service. If you've had a bad day or whatever, I didn't come here to listen to you in your bad day. I came here to be rejuvenated. This is pour into me time. Get served, get good food. We were at this restaurant and this guy just had such negative energy. So Shalana, this is before I met you, I said to him, I was like, hi. I said it with a smile. I said, do you mind coming over here for a minute? I'm gonna have so-and-so over here serve me because I'm not comfortable with your energy at the moment, but I appreciate your interest in trying to serve me. Thank you. And he was sitting there looking at me like, what is this woman saying? And he just stood there like, okay, she's smiling, so it must be good. And I was like, it's good. It just means you aren't for me. As people, we need to not take that personally. If you are committed to your goals and you've got your resource allocation and you are marching to your roadmap, you have to realize when you are not appropriate for somebody else's lifeboat. That might happen. You are the steward of your lifeboat. They are the stewards of theirs. Hopefully that lifeboat's going somewhere with a purpose, but that's not your role. You do your lifeboat.
Tell them the experience with the mentor that you went back to.
Which mentor?
The one that said something negative that you didn't take negatively.
Oh, that embarrassed me?
Yeah.
That one? Okay. So one of my big mentors, I think a lot of people have heard this story, is 𝗲𝗏𝗍 𝗫. And he's amazing. First of all, he's 20 years younger than I am. I could be his mother. But he has accomplished amazing things in real estate. And how we met was, we showed up at a house. It was a wholesale house. This wholesaler that knew both of us invited us there. And that's how it goes. A house comes on the market, people rush to get there. And 𝗲𝗏 was like, ladies first, you go see if you want it. And I walked in, and at the time, I wasn't down with the 75216 like I am now. So, and I was like, ugh, this is filthy. Ugh, this is dirty. Ugh, people, not what I want to do. And so I passed, and he was like, you don't want it? And I said, no. He's like, well, I'm going to go close it. And he went in there and talked to the guy and worked something out. And I was like, cool, well, better you than me. I don't know what you're doing with it. I didn't know him that well. Fast forward, we were at a networking event where he was speaking. And he was talking about this amazing deal that he had made. And then he said, and Julie Pitra passed on it. And this is what I did. She missed out on this opportunity in front of hundreds of people. And I was like, I'm embarrassed. How did I miss this opportunity? But what I realized is this was somebody that knew something that I didn't know. I like getting to know things I don't know. It stung a little bit, I ain't gonna lie, to be embarrassed like that in front of a bunch of people. But I went up to him and I said, hey, whatever it is you did, I want to know about it too. Help me. What do I need to do to get your help? What can I bring to you to get your help? Now, he has had a lot of mentees. I don't think he has a lot left, maybe 2, 3, I'm not sure. I actually had him on maybe 2 months ago. And he respects me and I respect him. But one of the things I am as a mentee is I listen, I act, I do my best to bring him value. I'm not just like, give me, pour into me all the time. I'm not giving anything. That's not a proper relationship of alignment. I'm like, what can I do for you? And he is also very into alignment. Got to be a mutual benefit. So I missed out on an opportunity, and I had the nearly, very rare opportunity to be taught what I had missed by someone who not only was aligned in values, but someone I can be around, because I can be a little hard-headed. I know y'all don't know that yet because I seem so agreeable right now, but I can be a little hard-headed. And this guy is able to teach me in a way I can understand and not break my spirit. He's the perfect mentor. And you know, funny enough, a few weeks ago, he gave my number to some guy that was calling to ask me what I thought about 𝗲𝗏𝗿 as a mentor. And I said, well, he's great. And he's like, well, what do you think about the fee he's charging? I said, pay him. You will save that much on your first deal if you have the right mentor. And he's like, well, I asked him to finance it. I was like, he's not going to do that. Just go ahead and pay him. It'll be worth it. And then he just kept talking. And I was like, I don't think you need to be 𝗲𝗏𝗿's mentee. You're going to pay it, and then you're going to be frustrated because you won't get out of it what you want. Because he is not going to hold your hand. He is not going to run and look at every deal with you. He's going to teach you how to analyze and consider possibilities and think outside the box. He's going to teach you sound real estate investing processes. He's going to introduce you to the people who can change your life. my success in real estate right now, and I think I'm fairly successful. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I am on track with my goals. So it's due in very big part to him. I have had 3 really super mentors. So some people might have taken that, oh, I can't believe he called me out like that. I don't know who he think he is. You know, that attitude. I don't like him because he called me out. No, you show me something I don't know, I'm gonna be right up in your face like this. Teach me. Shalana has had that. I invaded her life because I thought maybe I wanted to step over into the retail real estate world and help some clients. And I'm like, nope, back over here. I don't want to do that. But the person—
You want to know what's something funny about that, Julie, that you say that?
What?
What did I tell you? What did I tell you about your mentor when you first mentioned the name?
I don't know.
Do you remember? Where I said I had heard nothing positive?
Oh.
Do you remember that?
I do.
That was where we had that conversation, and Julie was like, so that's where it comes to, for me, if I'd ran with the information that I had, that would have been somebody who I had zero interest in having any conversations with, seeing, talking to, anything. But I can't always, with my goals, I can't always go with what someone else says, because the people that I talk to, their interaction was stay away from them, because that would be somebody that you would go back and forth with. And in my life, I can't go back and forth, but you got to always consider the source. And so I respect Julie. So when I heard her version, it was like, I'm glad I considered the source and not just listen to one particular person's opinion. So I'm glad that you shared that story. Thank you.
Yeah, by the way, I'm loving the sound of your engine.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep it on mute.
No, girl, I love it. I'm getting Zeus back tomorrow. But I will also, about Jawad, he's not for everybody because he suffers no BS. And last week, I don't know who was on, but I talked about what I call the broke MF mentality. I can guarantee without a doubt, those people that say, oh, don't mess with Jawad, they broke. Jawad isn't. Now, if your goal is to make money, he's a very good mentor. If your goal is to seem to make money on social media, he is not your mentor. Because he will call you out. He's called me out.
What's his name again, Julie? Gerard what?
𝗀𝗏 𝗏𝗏
𝗏. Okay.
He's all over social media. People are asking him to talk now. Those people that talked bad about him 2-3 years ago are like, oh yeah, the great 𝗀𝗏, he's done this, he's done that. And he's, okay, he is very public with his investments, what he buys. He shows his houses on Facebook. He shows them, picks them up. I struggle with putting that kind of content on social media. I've had some problems doing that. It's not that I'm not doing anything. I'm just not putting it on social media.
Come on over to the wild side, Julie. Put it on social media.
You know, I'm working on it.
We're working on that.
We're working on it. Like I'm doing this right here. I'm doing my Pitranomics, which I love to share, you know, but I sometimes wonder, why would anybody really be interested in what I do? Like the nuts and bolts of it. Yeah, the money's great, but I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Everybody wants to get to the money. That's what makes it interesting.
Yes, but I don't do it just for the money, even though the money's great. I can't, there's all kinds of ways to make money. This works very well for me. I can't imagine doing, well, I can imagine doing it. Anyway, I just think that for me, I was made for this.
Your social
media is a part of it.
Yeah, it could be real life HGTV, because the reality is HGTV is not always real. But if you have your own, then it's almost like, oh, this is like HGTV in real life.
Well, we're going to work toward that. I mean, Shamir's helping me. We're going to build that team, and I'm going to start showcasing it a little bit. But part of it is I don't want people to know what I own. So there's that.
You don't want them in your business. I was like that before. I did not start posting on social media until I got into real estate. I was very private.
Same here.
Even if you go to my page now, you'll never, like, people are like, oh, you don't post pictures of your kids, and I'm like, you don't need to know my kids. So that is it was a bit of a hurdle for me, and I'm getting better at it. And it doesn't always have to be personal. Sometimes people will just want to see your face. See, ta-da!
I'm going to make a request. My son is on. My daughter was on briefly and she jumped off. I'll get her for that. Jacob, do you mind just showing them my handsome son? Are you there enough to let me see you? Where you at? Jacob. Did he put this on and then walk away?
That's what I was thinking.
Uh-oh. You're recorded not responding to your mother, and it'll be on Facebook Live. So, yep, that's my son. Anyway, he's like, oh, join the meeting, but I don't have to stay anywhere near this meeting. Where was it? Oh, so about what's real and what's not. And I'm glad you brought that up, Shamir and Awilda. I'll tell you. One of the motivations for beginning to do the Pitranomics thing, and I'll do the real estate investing, but not individually anymore. One of the things, I was at a networking event and I was listening to this guy speak. It was his event. And I was sitting there, I told a friend of mine, I said, if people do what he says to do, they will end up broke, in jail, or both. Listening to him. It was scary to me what he was saying. And I said to her, I should be up there talking. And she looked at me and she said, yes. I was like, what do you mean by that? It's like, because in a very narrow area, I do know what I'm doing. If I don't know what I'm doing, I like to find people that know what they're doing so they can teach me to know what I'm doing. Because Shalana, by the way, I am putting something else on my plate. Guess what it is? It's commercial lending. I will help other investors with commercial lending.
Woo-hoo!
So I'll do
hey, listen, if it's out there and it's able for you to do, then do it. Yes, Julie, do it.
Yes, I will do that. Another thing that I find fascinating as realtors, because we do have a few on here, is that there are realtors that will try to service investor needs without understanding what those needs are. That is not a clear case of alignment. Because if you don't even understand what somebody's trying to accomplish, how on earth can you be in alignment with helping them accomplish it? So that's my little nugget there. We as professionals should be able to assist people accomplishing their goals, but we have to understand what those goals are, and we have to know how to accomplish them on their behalf in our roles. So. Is there anyone that has something else they want to offer or say or comment or anything like that?
I just wanted to say, like, in reference to the Lifeboat, if people are having struggles with it, I think that maybe if you could possibly kind of switch your thinking into maybe think of it as creating boundaries. And maybe you could start, very small with very small boundaries and kind of work your way up if you feel like that's something that you struggle with. And the reason why I brought that up is because my mom reminded me, we have a certain family member, and I love my family, but I had to let her know, like, hey, I am at a 1 hour maximum with this person. I cannot deal with the attitude, the negative energy, and it's draining for me. And because we're related, that doesn't mean you get to drain me and I have to deal with all of your foolishness. And so I told her, you can spend as much time as you would like with that person, but 45 minutes, I'm wrapping up because in an hour we are done. And she reminded me that, I told her this years ago. She reminded me that the other day. She was like, you remember when you told me that? I was like, yes. And I'm very serious. And I'm still serious about my 45 minute to an hour time frame right now. So I just wanted to kind of share, if that's something that, you know, people are struggling with, maybe just look at it as creating boundaries and maybe just start small. But I will definitely kick people out of my lifeboat. And if we were very close, I will inform them that they are kicked out and let them know and explain to them why. And then we're going to move on, and it's no hard feelings. But I mean, that's just what it is for me.
𝗲𝗿, thank you for sharing that. And I think communicating to them why is a respectful thing to do. I really do. Now, do I think it's always a successful thing? Maybe not. I don't like to just ghost people. I do like to provide closure. I don't always get it. I do like to provide it and say, this is the reason why, and da, da, da. And I think it'd be beautiful if we could just agree we're not in each other's lifeboats, but we still, you know, respect each other. That to me would be an ideal world. But it doesn't always happen that way. As far as boundaries, I think the biggest assistance to creating healthy boundaries is to know what you want. If you don't know what you want, you're easily buffeted by the winds of other people's opinions. But if you know exactly what you want, and you know what it's going to take for you to accomplish it, and you quickly see that this over here is prohibiting you from accomplishing this goal, I think that helps you deal with those natural boundaries quite easily. I don't really know how to swim, but I imagine if you're swimming and a riptide comes along and someone is hanging on to your foot and you're both going below the surface, you're going to do the best, no matter who they are, to kick them off and get back to the surface. Now, if you really care about them, you might take a breath and go back down and try to help them. If you can, if you feel like it. But to just let them drag you down and you drown, you don't get to accomplish what you want to do. I think that is, I don't know. I would not find that easy to do, to let someone detract me from accomplishing what I want to do. Now, full disclosure, I'm an only child. And I am classic only child. I want what I want, how I want it, when I want it. What are your excuses for not giving it to me? If I've communicated it very effectively, I expect delivery. Unless you give me a reason for why you can't. Sometimes that can be hard for people to deal with. So I guess my son is still gone. I will speak to you about that. Yes, I will. So y'all heard it. He's gonna get it.
I like to be a fly on the wall of that conversation.
He could even be asleep. But anyway, that's
Wait, me?
Jacob.
Yes.
Did you not hear me ask you to show your face on camera?
Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta get ready for something.
Mm-hmm. You didn't even unmute. You weren't anywhere near your phone.
I was just getting dressed. Hello?
There's my son. Look how handsome he is. Okay.
Hey,
well,
Jacob. How you
Hello.
doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good, good. Good to see you.
You
I
too.
just wanted to show off my son.
Oh, Mom, I do have to head out though. I have a big little night today.
Okay, well, have fun. Let me see your room. No, just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Okay, bye.
It was nice meeting y'all.
All right.
So, David, do you have any other tidbits you'd like to share? Shamir, who else is on? Joel, you want to say something? Fallon? Thank you for coming, you guys. No? Well, I hope you enjoyed this talk. Hold on, let me make sure I covered most of what I wanted to accomplish here. I think I got everything that I wanted to talk about tonight. So I appreciate y'all for coming, listening, and sharing. And I hope you have a fabulous night.